Hi, and welcome back to Jen and Dan's Natural Healing with Plants. I am Jennifer Whitmire, a health educator, coach, and master herbalist.
I'm Dan, your exercise specialist and fellow master herbalist. Today, we're diving into a topic that's close to our hearts: herbal remedies for brain health.
Yes, so our brains are so important, right? And
Oh,
how many
yeah,
people do you know suffer with brain issues, especially the older they get? And it could be even younger people with brain fog. We have so many different topics we can discuss when we're talking about brain health, but so many people are also suffering with dementia and even other circulatory related issues in their brains. So I know I have several family members. My grandfather had Alzheimer's. There's a lot of other family members that have had Alzheimer's or dementia. And so it's a painful thing to watch.
it is.
Hmm.
I have a member now that has some dementia, and it's really heartbreaking. It's like one of the most cruel diseases because they sometimes they get to they don't even remember their own names.
Right,
So,
right. Yeah, it can be really sad. So we want to make sure that we're taking care of our brain and keeping it really, really healthy. And so today we're going to talk about herbs that are related to brain health. Um, so not one another episode will have to be about foods because they're also wonderful foods. Which herbs are foods? And so maybe we might accidentally on purpose hit on some foods that are good for the brain as well. So the first one is ginkgo biloba, which is a fabulous antioxidant that improves blood flow to the brain. And before we started the recording, Daniel was telling me some more about ginkgo biloba too. So tell us more about ginkgo biloba.
I was reading a study last week with brain injuries. Well, let's stroke injury. When you have a stroke, a part of the brain actually dies because the blood flow is cut off. But a new study is showing that ginkgo can actually help that area of the brain heal itself. It helps bring the right proteins into that certain part of the brain, and ginkgo helps the proteins get there, and it helps to heal the brain. Uh, Now, right now, modern medicine doesn't have a lot for brain injuries as far as strokes go. They have physical therapy and occupational therapy and things like that. So herbs like ginkgo may help you heal even more. And ginkgo also helps get blood flow and oxygen to the brain, like Jennifer just said. And that is so important when you're trying to heal a damaged tissue. So I thought that's
Yes.
fascinating.
Yeah, me too. I'd always heard it was really good for memory
Oh yeah.
too, which there has to be, with strokes and circulation, all that has to be related.
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually have a ginkgo tree that we planted last year that I'm excited about because I love them.
Yeah, we planted one a few years ago as well. They're supposed to live up to 3,000 years, the tree. That's crazy.
Yes, that gorgeous color. So whenever I see that color, it makes me think of brain health too, that
Yes.
gorgeous gold color in the fall.
Yes.
Yes. So let's talk. I don't know a lot about this herb, but bacopa is an adaptogen. It's wonderful for being a brain tonic. And so it doesn't necessarily have something to help with healing the brain, but it's an adaptogen. So it helps you to adapt to different things. It helps with reducing anxiety and stress, and it's more for coping than for brain, but that's brain too. It's all related to brain health when we are learning how to manage things like that.
Some studies on Bacopa are saying they find improvements in verbal learning, delayed word recall, memory acquisition, and anxiety reduction, which I think a lot of people need some anxiety reduction. Like Jennifer was talking about anxiety. They're finding now that people with longstanding anxiety are actually more prone to developing dementia and things.
Ooh.
Yeah, so
We definitely need to get a better handle on that.
I know.
Yes. Yeah, so this next herb is gotu kola, And it's another one that I use here in some of my thyroid formulas. Gotu kola is another adaptogen. It helps with mental clarity and concentration. So with that brain fog, but it can also help with anxiety and depression, which is something that is very common in thyroid conditions. And so gotu kola, it can even be kind of stimulating to help with that energy. So for anyone who is suffering from something like Hashimoto's or low thyroid and they just really have trouble getting up in the morning, gotu kola can be great. But you have to remember that if you're thinking about having gotu kola later in the evening, it's not a stimulant like a caffeine or something, but because it is so energizing, it is something that I do tend to stick to earlier in the day and not have at night because of it's great for energy. To me, it also has like a tea flavor. Growing up here in the South, sweet tea was huge, and having a glass of tea, so it tastes like that tea, like black tea. And so I don't mind the flavor. But if you let it sit a little too long, it even gets that old tea taste. For any of you sweet tea drinkers that no sugar, um, if you have the unsweetened tea, when you can tell when it's been sitting too long. You go to a restaurant and order some tea, and you're like, "Well, this is old tea." That's what gotu kola can get like if you let it sit too long.
Sounds delicious.
Not related to your brain health, but well, taste is related to your brain. But so I like gotu kola for the brain just to help with things like number one, energy, but also like mental clarity and helping with brain fog.
There's also evidence showing gotu kola actually can help with cognitive impairment after strokes.
Ooh, that's good to
So
know.
it's another one that can help with stroke injuries.
Hmm. Yeah. Hmm.
Oh, the next one, rhodiola rosea. I think I
But
pronounced that correctly.
yes, rhodiola, that's another adaptogen. So it's funny, we have all these adaptogens for the brain, but it makes sense. We want calm clarity, right? All of us. Well, rhodiola is another one that can help with mental performance. It helps to reduce fatigue and burnout. And so for a lot of people, those people who are they're just done. Rhodiola can be great for someone like that. It can help with concentration and the brain fog. Now, we did not give a medical disclaimer in the beginning. So all the information we're giving you today is for educational purposes only. We are educators. You are not our private one-on-one client. We have no idea your individual needs. And so whenever we're talking about herbs, these are great herbs in general for brain health, but we want you to do your own due diligence. Work with your own healthcare provider, your own master herbalist, and make sure that these herbs are being based on you and your needs, because an herb that's right for one person may not be right for another person. I've personally experienced that. I've taken herbs that people say, oh, you have to take this. They were not right for me. So remember, this is for educational purposes only, and then use this information to determine if it's right for you. So, did you have anything else you wanted to add on rhodiola?
I don't. But
All right.
the next one, what is it? Ashwagandha?
Ashwagandha, yes, another one of my favorites. So another adaptogen. I love ashwagandha, and you just hear that soothing ashwagandha. It tastes terrible, but so I use it as a tincture. But it's just wonderful. It's for soothing anxiety and stress. It can also help with brain fog and mental clarity as well. And there have even been some studies that show that it can help with cognitive function. And so I really like ashwagandha, especially for someone who, they have a lot that, they're trying to work on and work through, and they're struggling with taking the time out and having that self-care. Ashwagandha can really be helpful to be added in with their other techniques. You can't just give someone ashwagandha and let them just keep going. It's not going to help. We have to also use other lifestyle factors too. But we added this one in here too because it does help with cognitive function and also with mental clarity and stress and anxiety, which are all related to the brain.
It also has been shown to help with it increases your antioxidant activity in the brain. It actually helps protect the brain from oxidative damage. We don't talk about that a lot, but oxidation is one reason our tissues get damaged over time. and eventually it can lead to, health problems as we get older. So
Yeah, that's fabulous. Yeah. So ashwagandha is also a nightshade. So for anyone that knows that they cannot handle nightshades, that is not a common thing. So just because I'm saying that, don't think that you have problems with nightshades. But for some people who have things like joint issues or arthritis, sometimes removing nightshades is helpful for them. I'm not going to go into the foods related. I'm not saying that's for all arthritis cases because there are there are many reasons why someone could have arthritis. But if you know you're someone who needs to avoid nightshades, then ashwagandha is a nightshade and you'll need to avoid it.
So a lot of these herbs are great for our, brain health, but how I have people say, well, how do I take it? I mean, what would be a good way to take it on a regular basis so I can get the benefits?
Yeah. So for me, golly, it depends. For me, I go for flavor, but like tinctures, capsules, you can even get powders. There's some companies um, like bulk supplements is one. Micro ingredients is another one where you can buy a lot of herbs that are powdered. If I'm buying the whole herbs, I like Mountain Rose herbs. That's a fantastic one, or Frontier, or Star West botanicals. Just make sure you're getting it organic or wild harvested on these herbs, but you can turn them into tinctures or teas. Teas are usually the best way. We found in our courses that teas are more easily absorbable. They are very, very potent. But if the flavor is, you just can't get it down in a tea, then, tincture can be a really great choice. And like I said, I like the powdered too, because then I can just put them into other things, disguise them, right? For ashwagandha, I already told you that flavor is just not appealing. I do like ashwagandha in a tincture. For the other ones like gotu kola, like, as a tea. Yeah. But there are a couple of other herbs we forgot to mention too. So let me jump in. Number one, cayenne.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So tell us, Daniel, why can't cayenne would be great for brain health?
Well, cayenne is a very good herb for improving your circulation. So a lot of these brain problems start to arise because our circulation is not getting there because we get things like heart disease. We have plaque in our carotid arteries. So over time, the brain's not getting enough nutrition and oxygen, and it starts to actually kill off some of these brain cells. But cayenne pepper actually will increase your circulation to your brain and all other parts of your body. There's also research showing that cayenne can help lower your cholesterol. So we had to get blood flow to the brain. I mean, that's the whole thing with a stroke. The blood flow is interrupted to your brain and it dies. It only takes a few minutes. So anything that we can do to increase blood flow to the brain and make sure that it is healthy is going to increase the health of your brain
Yeah. Yeah. And we forget the brain needs nutrients.
a lot.
And we forget, we talk about circulation and we need the blood flow, but we need the nutrients moved there too. So I'm so glad that you said that. Yeah. So cayenne, that was the big one that I was thinking of. And I was also thinking about bleeds. So we use cayenne to stop bleeding. And so I think too, with strokes, that can be so important because we forget that, there can be bleeding as well involved when we have strokes. So maybe the blood flow is there, but it's, something that could be way worse um,
Well, you
if you
remember
have the
Dr.
bleeding in the brain.
Christopher, he said if you only take one herb, take cayenne pepper because it saved his life. He had
Mm,
severe heart disease and he was able to reverse it with
yeah.
cayenne pepper and of course a good plant-based diet. But I take cayenne every day too because so many people have strokes and heart attacks.
Hmm.
And I think everybody should be on cayenne pepper. It's
So
better than aspirin. Go ahead.
how do you incorporate cayenne into yours?
It depends on the day. Some days I make a tincture. I use that. I warm water up and use my tincture. Some days I just take it in capsule form.
Mhm.
Some days I put it on my food. I can get peppers at the grocery store. It
Mhm.
really, really works. There's so much science behind it. South Americans, they found that they have less strokes because they eat cayenne peppers every day in their diet. It keeps
Hmm.
your blood thin. It helps you. It prevents blood clots, which help prevent strokes and heart attacks. So
Yeah.
it's it's on top of the list. I mean, it's better than aspirin
Yeah.
in my opinion.
I put it on my foods.
Do
And
you?
Dr. Christopher, he wanted us to put it in our water,
Hmm.
start the day and have it with all your meals, before your meals, as part of your bitter to prepare your body for your meals. And so I don't do that, but I do sprinkle cayenne. And you'll find that sounds hot, but you start low, very little amounts and gradually increase. Now, I do want to stop too. That's another nightshade. So anyone who is avoiding nightshades, that could be another nightshade. But once again, that is not common. So don't just throw it out. Cayenne is so, like he said, if that could be our number one herb. That could be the only herb, and it helps for so many different things. I love cayenne, but yeah, I do. I put it on my foods as often as I can, and I've been able to tolerate more and more and add a little bit more, which I think is good too. But that also shows us too that we get used to herbs, and so um, that's why we want to cycle on and off of them. Don't take herbs all the time. Like every day I take this, this, and this. And you have to give your body a break. Dr. Christopher used the rule of sevens. So the seventh day is the day of rest. So you would take a day off the seventh week, the seventh month, the seventh year. And so you just want to make sure you're rotating your herbs or giving a rest on those. But I thought of another one, unless you had something else to add with cayenne.
Which one did you think of?
Rosemary.
That's what I was thinking.
Ah, yes, yes. So talk a little bit about rosemary in the brain.
Well, it's an amazing duo, especially with cayenne pepper, but rosemary actually increases blood to the brain as well. It also
Mhm.
protects the brain again from free radical damage.
Yes.
Actually, I read an article that I think it's Iraq. If somebody has a stroke, they will give them rosemary, and it actually helps with their speech. I've read an
Ooh.
article. It's really good after a stroke as well, and of course
Mhm.
for stroke prevention, which prevention is the key for strokes if you can. I mean,
Yeah.
that helps
Yeah.
with both.
So it must affect those brain centers, that the center that affects speech. Yeah, it's so interesting how different herbs can affect different parts of the brain. Like you said with the ginkgo biloba being able to, almost like a thinking herb can go to create the proteins for the certain whatever is needed in that part. But the rosemary, I was always thinking about the circulation and with the rosemary. Yeah. And then what easy ways? So I have used rosemary in aromatherapy. And then I've also used rosemary, of course, in my foods. It's got a really strong flavor. Those essential oils, you have to remember they're so fragile. And so, I'm talking about the fresh herb. You can rub them in your fingers and your fingers will smell so much like rosemary. So there's definitely different ways you can use them in aromatherapy. We forget that that is one way we can get our nutrients, but also putting rosemary on your foods as well. Yeah,
Yeah,
and so we didn't talk about like elixirs. We can combine several herbs together to make a delicious elixir using nutrients. And then capsules. A lot of these come in capsules. Whenever you do buy something like capsules, so tinctures, sometimes you have to look at the tinctures too and read your ingredients if you didn't make them your own yourself. Capsules, always read the ingredients. What type of capsule? What's the capsule made out of? What fillers are included in there as well, especially if you're someone who's avoiding certain things, or you have food allergies or anything like that. Make sure you're always be very diligent about reading what is in your capsules. I do like some of the companies that I listed, they tend to have just nice clean ingredients. Another company I like for herbal teas is Traditional Medicinals. That's Rosemary Gladstar. She's a master herbalist. She started that company. She's still a big part of that company. And I haven't found any of the teas when I've purchased them that have any iffy ingredients or anything. Some of the other brands, you'd be shocked. Even some of the well-known brands, they have other things in them that like it'll say ginger tea on the front, but you flip it over and read the ingredients and it has more than ginger in there. And so make sure when you are purchasing ready-made capsules and teas that you are flipping the box over and you are reading what else is in there.
good advice because sometimes they contain toxic things. So it's better to make I mean, I always recommend to get your own herbs, buy them organic, make your own teas at home. It's not that hard, and you can ensure that you're getting just the herbs without the toxins.
Yes, yes. Yeah, that's what I like too. So there are a lot more herbs that we could talk about that involve circulation. But these were all specific to the brain. Are there any others that you think of before we close?
Not off the top of my head, but I think I like to say a good trio that I always recommend is ginkgo, rosemary, and cayenne pepper. That's like
Yes,
perfect for your brain.
that sounds fabulous.
So,
Yes, yes, as well as a healthy diet.
oh well, yeah, that's
Yes, yes, as well as your healthy diet, anti-inflammatory foods, lots of leafy greens, and the rainbow foods, lots of colors.
oh yeah.
Yes, yes. Well, thank you for joining us today. I hope that these herbs help you on your brain health journey and helps give you some clarity. So thank you for joining us. I hope you'll join us again next week. And once again, make sure you hit subscribe and please comment. We love to hear from you. We want to know that you're listening, you learned something. If you didn't agree with us, we want to know that too, because that can lead to a really great discussion. We're open. Um, we are not the end here, right? There's so much out there
Oh yeah.
to learn about these herbs. And so this is what we know from what we have learned about the herbs. So we would love to learn more from you as well. So thank you.